Bada boom, bada bang, bada bop. Before we get into this massive stack comparison today, by the way, I don't know if what we're doing today has ever been done before. This is 147 millimeters of stack compared in one video. Look at this. Look at this. That's not what I'm here to tell you right now. Right now I'm here to tell you about the Supwell app. So if you are a Max Cushion gang member, if you are a lover of the stack, if you want to get stacked to basics, thinking about your running, thinking about the shoes, if you want to join the best community of hobby joggers, let me break it down for you. Let me tell you about everything that you can get on the Supwell app for $1 a month. Let's start with the functional benefits. You can get a Running Warehouse discount code that takes 20% off of apparel and 20% off fuel. You can bring the price of those Mortons down by 20% by using my code. You can also get 10% off of all clearance shoes with the Running Warehouse discount code that's on the Supwell app for $1 a month. Second functional benefit here, and I have bugs coming at me, the gently used running shoe marketplace where you can get deals on the best Max Stack shoes and all the shoes in general. We got people selling Carbon County shoes for $100 off MSRP. A lot of great inventory going on the Supwell app right now. And the third functional benefit, if you like the entertainment value of my reviews, but you think my opinions are trash, or you don't even think these videos are cool at all, and you watch just to type comments that negate my opinions, you might actually find some value from some of the other reviews on the Supwell app, because we do have a review space on the Supwell app. Every one of these shoes that I brought out here today, someone has reviewed. Matter of fact, multiple people have reviewed on the Supwell app. So if you want to get different perspectives on reviews, is that the mom wagon with Charles? Yes, it is. She thinks I'm just trapping out the shoebox all day. The thing is, I was on lunch and then I came back out here. I did everything else before. But it looks like I've just not been working and I've just been stacking. Get it? Like slacking. Supwell app, $1 a month. Buy, sell, and trade gently used running shoes. Connect with other hobby joggers. We got the reviews. We got the Running Warehouse discount code. You can ask any questions about your training. We've had a lot of good marathon training questions go up and a lot of great answers. It's the best running hobby jogging community out there. $1 a month. Let's get into this stack comparison, baby. Look at that. Look at that. That's a lot of girth. That is a lot of stack. Holy cow, that's 150 millimeters of pure stackage. Call me Dr. Stack Daniels. These boys are getting disrespectful to Dr. Jack Daniels, saying it's outdated science. You know what's outdated? Sitting in your mom's basement in a pair of barefoot mafia shoes, hating on the most respected, venerable, PhD bearing run coach in the history of mileage. That's outdated, man. Put some respect on Dr. Jack Daniels, still kicking, 94, 95 years old, putting in the absolute work. Puma MagMax Nitro. I have not run in this shoe in a few weeks. Since I did the 50-mile update on this guy, we had the Glycerin Max coming to the house, and you guys know, of course, Hoka Skyward X, one of my favorite shoes, probably my favorite shoe of the year. So these are three awesome Max Stack shoes. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Megan the Stacklian versus Stacko versus... Oh gosh, I'm not gonna keep going here. There's a lot of stack here. So these are three of the top Max Stack shoes. These are in the super max category. So if we think about traditional cushioned everyday running shoes, something like the Nike Vomero, something like the New Balance, I thought those were chickens. I thought we had more chickens. Just no. It's my children just roaming around like vagrants. Those aren't my children. Those Those are my children. The 1080s of the world, the Vomeros of the world, the Brooks Ghost Maxes and Glycerins of the world, those typically cap out around 38, 40, 42 millimeters. And we've seen these new crop of shoes pop up. Really, this year is the year that all of these shoes are starting to hit. These are all in their first generation. Hoka Skyward X, first generation. Puma MagMax Nitro, first generation. Brooks Glycerin Max, first generation. This new crop of shoes is going above 42 millimeters in the heel. No concern about weight. They said lightweight, who? Little boys need to eat their Wheaties, start bossing up, because we're going 45 max cushion gang for life. That's what these guys said right here. So these shoes aren't concerned about weight. They're concerned about giving you the utmost in comfort, protection, and fun. And of all these max stack shoes that I've been testing, these three here, some combination of these are the ones that people keep asking me to compare. Brooks Glycerin Max versus Hoka Skyward X. Can you compare the MagMax Nitro versus the Glycerin Max? Can you compare the MagMax to the Skyward X? So I thought I would do this little three-way comparison. This is the triumvirate of stack right now. So let's kick it off with a little bit of overviews in these shoes, and then I'm gonna run in probably two of them this morning, and we can wrap it up. So first one, this is the one that I am going to run in. This is the Puma MagMax Nitro. Out of the crop here, this is the widest. It also feels the most substantial, and it is non-plated. It's also the only one to use one type of foam. So MagMax Nitro, 100% of this nitro foam, but nitro is different in every single Puma shoe. It has an extremely wide base. I can barely grip my hand around it. So this is going to be the stable option. And to my memory, we'll refresh it with a little bit of a run here. This is the firmest out of these picks. Now, Skyward X is plated, but especially for comparing these two, MagMax Nitro is going to be a little bit firmer. Also have a little bit more pep in the step. Then we have the Brooks Glycerin Max. This is also non-plated, but it is not flexible whatsoever. This guy uses two different types of foam. So you have a softer foam in the heel, a firmer foam in the forefoot to bounce off the front. This one is really all about, if we think about the different qualities of each, this is maybe more stability, more capability to pick up the pace. This one is all about comfort and protection amped up to the max. So as we're thinking about those other max cushion shoes that I mentioned, something like Vomero 1080, Brooks Ghost Max, Nimbus. The Vomero would be the one that's the workhorse. That's the vibe that I've been getting from the MagMax Nitro. This is the elevated workhorse. Something like the Glycerin Max, this would be the elevated softy. This would be the elevated 1080 or the elevated Nimbus. It's right in the name, right? Brooks Glycerin. Glycerin is known for most people as that comfort-oriented shoe, whereas something like the Vomero might be the most versatile out of those $160 cushioned daily trainers. This would be the comfort one. So $200 here in the Glycerin Max versus $160 in the standard Glycerin. MagMax Nitro is $180, and then most expensive here, Hoka Skyward X. So out of these three, this is the only one with the carbon fiber plate. This also uses two types of foam like the Glycerin Max, but unlike the Glycerin Max, it's a little bit of a different construction. So Glycerin Max is one foam in the back, one foam in the front, and they're actually calling it, by the way, DNA tuned, so it's technically the same foam, just tuned a little bit differently. So a firmer version of it in the front for speed and a softer version in the back for comfort. This is two completely different types of foams. In the Skyward X, you have a top layer of race foam, polyether block amide. Shout out to all my Puma plebes putting in the work. You have the full length carbon fiber plate here to stiffen it up, add some stability. And then you have a training foam, more standard on the bottom, the supercritical EVA, very similar to what's in the Hoka Mach 6. This is the bounce and the fun. So if we think about these three right here that I just highlighted, and these are the three differences. So they're all stacked, they're all protective, they all are fun, they all are comfortable in my experience with them. But the one differentiating adjective that comes to mind, MagMax Nitro, stable workhorse. Glycerin Max, soft bounce. Skyward X, fun bounce. So with that, I'm gonna lace up the MagMax Nitro, do my warm up. I'm wearing the Carbon County sweater today because we are going to Carbon County. I've just highlighted these race shoes ad nauseum. If you want to see a review on the Cloud Boom Strike, I put one up yesterday. I've done a ton on the Alpha Fly. I've done a ton on the Endorphin Elite. Those are the 3 shoes I'm narrowed it down to. I'm not gonna do another review on the race shoes today. So I thought it'd be a good time to take some of these stacked boys out. So we're gonna do the warm up for the workout in the MagMax Nitro. And I also thought it'd be fun to highlight throughout the day today, where are the different, in my running, where are the different places where I would use these shoes. So for this warm up, I'm using the MagMax. I'm gonna throw some strides in there. This is the one that I feel can handle that pace the best. And then you'll have to see what I pick for after the workout for my cool down. All right, let's get into it. Hey Google, play Whole Lot of Money by Bia. Bia.
That's a whole lot of money in it. That's a whole lot of money in it.
Look at that stuff. Bro, I had to pull up in the dry fit with the slides just in case somebody needed to get dunked on. These boys weren't really balling back at South Commons in Lowell, Massachusetts. You wasn't with me shooting in the gym. Oh, the thing is, I was going to change. I have some bougie socks. Look at that. Look at this bougie sock right here. Merino wool features. No. Bang. That's what I'm talking about. What's up? Yeah. Charlie's backup camera or screen situation in her car was not working. So we're going to have to take it to the Jeep dealership. More items on the to-do list. All right, lacing up the MagMax Nitro here. The fit on this is actually, The fit on this is actually solid, more comfortable and forgiving than other Puma shoes. It's not as narrow, especially as something like the DV8 Nitro 3 or DV8 Elite 3. They've widened it out a touch, which is nice. So overall, a more comfortable fit. Stepping in here, though, if you're expecting max stack squish, that is not what you're going to be getting out of the MagMax Nitro. And I even had Charlie try these on, and she was blown away by how firm they were. So the stepping in here is not soft comfort, and the ride experience isn't really soft at all either. It's a little bit of a more structured feel to it. You do get that stable platform in the back, so if you're choosing out of these 3 shoes and you really need a lot of support, this is probably the one I would go with. It's almost like they have a post here with how aggressively they've contoured this foam up the side. Same thing on the outside as well. You really do feel cradled and strapped in to this shoe. It's like a basketball shoe or like a hiking boot. That's the other reason I left these little swoosh socks on, because I just thought it was silly. It literally looks like I'm about to go ball out. These look like basketball shoes, and I'm sure the lateral stability would actually be pretty good as well. So stable and firm. Let's take this out for a little 2-mile warm-up, and then we can come back here. I'm going to do the workout, and you can see what I'll pick for my cool down. Let's do it. All right, we just got our warm-up in. 2 miles, 6:44 pace, 14 minutes in the MagMax Nitro, and we're 1 for 1 today with the shoe choice so far. This was perfect for the warm-up and for this type of run. Now, I'm not suggesting that you have to use a shoe for every different 2-mile chunk of your day, but my goal with today is to use these shoes for their intended purpose, for their best. However they're best going to execute. And if you think about all the different types of runs that I'm going to be doing today, it's like a condensed week. So you can consider this like your everyday run, right? Your warm up before the workout. And that's where the shoe really shines for versatility, comfort, And then this felt really good when I did some strides. So I did 6 reps of 20-second surges at around 10K pace, so 520 down to 5 flat. And they were awesome. So this is the type of a run where you're going to want to pull for the MagMax Nitro, or if you're looking for that elevated daily trainer, that would be this guy. Like the Vomero, like the Nova Blast, it doesn't blow you away. And the key about this workhorse category is that it gives you what you put into it, these types of shoes. So if you're expecting the shoe to do the work for you, that's not going to be the MagMax Nitro, and we'll get into whether the other shoes do that. But for this one, it feels best when I'm putting down some pace, and when I'm hanging back, it does feel okay. I don't feel like I'm fighting against the foam a ton, but if I want to get that crazy bounce, and they have the little bouncy tag in the back here, if I want to get that, I have to be running fast. But for a non-plated 47 millimeter stack shoe to feel good for me at 417 or 520 pace, that's awesome. So this would be probably out of this crop the closest to a true Superblast competitor. And it's $180, so undercuts the Superblast by $20. The thing is, it is heavier, and at those slower paces, I can feel that weight, but I can also feel the bounce in a way that I have not experienced yet in the Superblast 2, and I never really experienced that at my everyday miles in the Superblast 1. So I am now going to change into my workout shoes, do the workout, and then we'll be back up here in a jiff to do our cool down in either the Glycerin Max or the Skyward X. Let's do it. So in Carbon County today, we're going Alpha Fly. Yesterday I was in the Cloud Boom Strike and was gonna do my workout in them yesterday. If you watched that review, you would have seen it was flooded and mudded, so I'm gonna go Alpha Fly today since I ran in the Cloud Boom yesterday. As I mentioned, I've run in these shoes a ton, but this is where I wanted to talk about comparing these two types of shoes and who should go for a carbon plated race shoe over something like the MagMax Nitro. Now, just stepping into the Alpha Fly here, way less supportive. The bulk of this foam is in the midfoot to forefoot, and where the shoe's center of gravity is and where the shoe wants me to land is in the midfoot and forefoot. It feels a lot less substantial under the heel. The stability is not going to be as good for heel strikers. Now, this is a relatively stable shoe, actually, and a lot of the race shoes are moving in that direction, but this is not a shoe that I would take out for relaxed miles personally. The MagMax Nitro just feels way more relaxed to me and way more capable of handling that duty. It also does feel like a durable tank on foot. So if you are in that 3:30, 3:45, 4 hour to 5 marathon range, maybe 4 to 5 hour marathon range, you might be debating which of these to pick. Now, if I personally were going to be running for over 3.5 or 4 hours, say I were doing a training run, say I decided to do an ultra, and I started doing 4 to 5 hour long runs, I wouldn't be doing it in the Alpha Fly. I might go for something like the Saucony Endorphin Pro 4 or the New Balance SC Elite V4, or maybe even the Superblast if I can get some sort of better ride experience from that. But it's likely that I would be doing it in the Nova Blast or the MagMax Nitro or a comfort-oriented speed shoe like the Mach X or one of these other shoes today. If I'm going to be out there for a long time and I'm not running at a high percentage of where I can run, if I'm not going for an all-out PR, if I don't feel that I'm going to be racing for the entirety of 2, 3, 4 hours, I would not be going for a race shoe, and I'll be going for something like the MagMax Nitro, the Hoka Skyward X, or the Glycerin Max. But this is making me realize I should put together a best 4-hour marathon shoe video at some point. Anyway, we've got this workout. I guess I'm sticking with the dry fit socks. I didn't even really think about that, but just in case somebody needs to get dunked on out there, we're going to put in the work in some dry fit. Let's do it. All right, workout is done. That was a tough showing this morning. That was not good. So we got a 10K 5:59 pace. I just could not hang on to any pace this morning. But we're going to switch into the Skyward X. And the reason why I wanted to do this for the cool down is because these ones, for me, give me the most assistance. And so after a hard workout like this, I want something that's just going to do a lot of the work for me. And that's exactly what I get from the Skyward X. So I'm probably also going to change into the merino socks off camera. And then we can get our cool down in the Skyward X. All right, cool down time in the Skyward X. Now, in terms of the fit and feel of these actually feel a little bit more snug than the MagMax. On the toe box, it seems that there's just a little bit less room. So if you have a higher volume foot, the MagMax might actually be a better fit. And the other thing is, on the heel, the MagMax is a lot more stable. The Skyward X, I feel that it almost tilts me back when I'm standing like this, and that's part of the beauty of this shoe, is that it does have a very curved bottom. It is an aggressive rocker here, and if you look at the back, you can see where this heel bevel is, or this curvature. It's not going to stick out as much as the back does on the MagMax. So MagMax, the stability and overall, I think sometimes when we think of stability, we're just thinking about side to side, but how planted it feels. So if you're landing with your foot any sort of which way, the MagMax is going to be a little bit better. But the bounce of the Skyward X, that's just where the magic of the shoe is here. But upper is comfortable, a little bit more padding on the upper of the Skyward X than the MagMax. You can see the MagMax has pretty lightweight tongue, and then if we compare to the Glycerin Max here, these uppers are actually pretty similar to Glycerin Max and Skyward X. Both are nice and padded. None of these shoes are going for that lightweight feel, and the Glycerin Max probably has the highest volume toe box out of any of these shoes. So in terms of width, widest Brooks, middle Puma, narrowest Hoka. The other thing is looks. I didn't mention looks yet. The Glycerin Max, oddly and surprisingly, in the biggest twist of 2024, the Brooks is the best looking shoe, in my hobby jogger opinion, out of the bunch. And in this colorway too, this Hoka colorway, not my favorite. This is the Aqua Fresh colorway. Also, this colorway of the MagMax is not my favorite. They do have the MagMax in an all white. This is my favorite of the Glycerin Max colorways. I have a sheet that has all the colorways of the Glycerin Max. I'll post that on the Supwell app for you guys to see. None of them are really as clean as this. And then Skyward X, I think you guys have seen the colorways. I like the yellow one, but some of the other ones are just a bit meh. But all right, let's get this little cool down, and then we can chat through these shoes. All right, so I made a little audible like Peyton Manning. I decided to only go 2, so I could do the last 2 this morning in the Glycerin Max. I was thinking about doubling in the Glycerin Max, but I'd like to just run all these shoes back to back to back. Or should I say stack to stack to stack? So we got 2 miles in the Skyward X, 740 pace, 16 minutes. Honestly, I think the MagMax was a little bit better for the strides. So I did some strides in this as well, and the MagMax just felt a tiny bit smoother when picking up the pace, which is a little bit surprising. The Skyward X felt a touch clunky getting down to that 5-something pace. MagMax just a little bit smoother, a little bit more natural shift in gears. So that's a surprising twist today. Now I actually want to put these three on the scale. Let's do a tiny quick weigh-in between Glycerin Max, Skyward X, and MagMax, and then we can close out the running in the Glycerin Max. All right, weigh-in time. MagMax Nitro coming up first. This guy is at 326 grams. Skyward X, 334.5 grams. And then Glycerin Max, 335. So Glycerin Max, Skyward X, roughly the same weight, 335, and my men's 10.5. And the MagMax is a little bit later at 325, and I'm not sure if I don't think that's why it felt easier to do strides. I think it's because of this foam, and it doesn't feel that awesome and exciting for just everyday mileage pace for me. But like the Nova Blast, as you put more miles in it, it feels smooth and comfortable. And then for picking up the pace, this was the best one so far. So let's put on these Glycerin Max here and do our last little bit of mileage. So let's do a quick fit and feel comparison of the Glycerin Max and Skyward X. And just lacing the Glycerin Max up, having it in my hand for 5 seconds here, the comfort is what's sticking out to me the most. Now, the bottom of this Skyward X is very curved, versus Glycerin Max, a little bit more stable and planted. So I have to say, Glycerin Max and MagMax Nitro, they take it for stability for sure. And it's because of what they've done with the foam in the back. And the comfort of the upper here is great, just a little bit softer all around. The tongue is a little bit more padded, and the toe box has a little bit more room in the Glycerin Max. This is a very comfortable upper. I don't think it's going to be the necessarily coolest on foot in terms of temperature, but we're heading into the winter anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'm just kidding. I know we have friends in the southern hemisphere watching. All right, last little bit here, 2 miles, maybe throw in some strides, and then we can call it a day. All right, man, we are done with running this morning and probably today. That was a 12-mile morning for everyone who's counting. 7:36 pace, 2 miles and 14 100ths, 16:16. And I gotta say, man, it is gonna be tight between these three shoes, and in terms of what they're all great at. But I mean, that's why people ask for this comparison, because they are all very similar shoes in the same class, similar stack height, with the same purpose, which is blending comfort, speed, and fun over long distances. So all of the differences that I'm going to be highlighting here are maybe 3 to 7%. I've been shopping for some new all-terrain tires for the Jeep, and I've narrowed it down to the Falcon Wild Peak AT4W and the BFG KO3. I had the KO2s on my last Jeep. And I've been watching, I think I've watched every single comparison out there on YouTube. I've been going deep into the forums, and with those tires, they're both moderate all-terrains. They're not the most aggressive. It's not like a Nitto Ridge Grappler, but they're also not the least aggressive like you might find out of the Continental all-terrains or the Michelin. And so all the differences I'm finding in my tire shopping experience are so narrow, so narrow. And that's what happens if you're shopping within one class of shoes or one class of tires, whatever it is. All the specs are similar, the materials are going to be fairly similar, and the differences are going to be so small. My recovery today, a little Sierra Nevada non-alcoholic. Trail Pass IPA. These things are fire. Shout out to all my Euros putting in work, because it's actually a lot more common over in Europe to have non-alcoholic beers or low ABV beers after training. It's not that common in the US. Instead, we just go for 8% DEPAs, double IPAs, and just get smashed after running. Check out the Trail Stack IPAs though if you have not. I'm not sponsored by them, I just like them. By the way, they have a brewery out in Mills River, North Carolina, which is over in Asheville. That area got completely smashed by this hurricane, so our neighbors have been helping donate stuff. I think we're gonna probably donate stuff, so if you can help in any way to support the Hurricane Helene destruction, figure out a way, because it's pretty gnarly. That's one of my favorite places to go visit. It's only about 2 hours from here, and they got it a lot worse because they have rivers and it's a valley. It's pretty rough. But we got 12 miles of running, shifting gears here in these 3 shoes. Well, we actually got, 8 miles of running in these 3 shoes? No. 6 miles of running in these 3 shoes and 4 miles in the Alpha Fly. That was a tough workout, by the way. And this week is supposed to be a down week, but I still had a workout programmed, and I decided to do a hard 10K or a 10K time trial. I gave it a go yesterday, and I went to a flat area to do it. And it was all muddy, so I bailed and I just wasn't feeling it. And then I came out here today to do it. Pretty much perfect conditions, and I still wasn't feeling it. I could only get 1 mile at the pace I wanted, and then I just slowly crumbled. So some days it's like that, some weeks it's like that. Luckily, this is not the race. So we got stacked. So Puma MagMax Nitro. We went 2 miles and this was strides. We did 2 miles and everything was strides. Now, this to me, out of this batch of shoes, is the smoothest. That doesn't mean it's the most fun or the most exciting, and today still backed that up, but I think it might be the most disappear on foot out of all of these shoes. And the difference between this and something like the Nova Blast, this does feel like it has a little bit more of a rocker and a little bit more of a bounce to it. It really does justify that $180 price point, and I'm glad they didn't put it at $200, because it's not quite as exciting as I would expect from a $200 shoe, but you are getting more value here. So if you want something that's smooth, comfortable, stable, that's the key. If you need a lot of stability, this is going to be the pick. The most surprising thing I think today that I learned was these non-plated shoes can still rip. When I went down to do my strides, so I did pace pickups in all of these to test them, this one probably felt the best. Now my legs were freshest, so flies. So take from that what you will, but even isolating that variable and just trying to think about how the shoes performed, I felt like this was the most natural at shifting gears. So this would be my pick for a non-plated long run shoe. This would be my pick if you want something stable and if you want something smooth. Now after the workout, we ran in the Skyward X here. This one felt the most weird out of these 3 shoes. So both the Glycerin Max and the MagMax felt like elevated dailies. This feels like nothing else on the market, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing. So this is the most exciting out of the 3. It's the most different out of the 3, but it's also the most weird feeling out of the three and the most polarizing. So the MagMax, some people might find it just meh, especially if you're only doing 30-minute runs and you're running maybe 9-minute, 10-minute miles. I think you're probably just gonna find it's just average. But if you're doing a ton of mileage and you want a sportive shoe, you're gonna like it. The Skyward X, you're either gonna love this thing or hate this thing. It feels pretty weird on foot, and if you're not putting the power down into the shoe, it's not gonna open up for you. You need to be running with either some sort of pace or some sort of force. And that was the thing that I really realized coming out of the gates here on the 2 miles I did in this shoe. I was tired. It was immediately after the workout I did in the Alpha Fly, and my legs lacked a little bit of that juice. So I was running 8-minute miles. That's the slowest I've gone in this shoe. And it felt a little bit awkward and cumbersome at that pace for me. My guy Rye says it best. This is a shoe where you have to let your legs take you. So if you're planning on holding back, if you're planning on getting a shoe for just recovery, I would not get the Skyward X. This is more of that fun daily. So this is more of a serious, smooth, stable daily with some ability to pick up the pace. This is the fun daily. This is going to encourage you to run a little bit faster. I can go slower. It just feels a touch awkward. I don't feel as awkward in this shoe as I do in something like a Nimbus or a Super Blast, or I don't want to just rag on Asics, but any of those higher stack shoes where I can feel like, all right, SC Trainer V3 is another example. This has more bounce than those, but it does encourage either a faster run or it will reward you for putting down more power. So this is going to be the big runner champion. It's not going to bottom out because it has the plate. It is the stiffest and it is going to give you the most pop. So this is the one I would pick if you want fun. If you want fun as your number one criteria in one of these Max Stack shoes, $225. This is still the most fun shoe on the market. After all the testing, I can verify that. However, it is not the most comfortable. And that's the thing, man. Glycerin Max coming on the scene. The past few weeks, I've been running this shoe a ton. My biggest surprise for today, I thought that this was going to feel toothless and weak. After running in the Skyward X, I thought that the Glycerin Max was going to feel way too soft, way too limp, just not enough teeth, not enough bite for the strides and even for the everyday miles. I turned out to be, I think, faster in the Glycerin Max, and it wasn't a workout, but just cruising around the neighborhood. I was a little bit faster in this and felt a little bit more natural than the Skyward X. So more comfortable in the Glycerin Max for sure. It also feels more normal. If you take a look at the back of these shoes, you can see they extend the foam off the back of the Glycerin Max, and this is just, the lighting is, it's just kind of tough today. But they extend the foam off the back of the Glycerin Max more than they do up the Skyward X, and this is the shoe that I would pick if you want one of these to walk in. So this is probably the most versatile if we're thinking about life. I'm not going to be taking the MagMax Nitro or the Skyward X down to Disneyland. This is really the running runners, if you just want something to run in. If you want one of these shoes to put 400, 500 miles in, that's going to be the MagMax Nitro, but I'm not using this for anything other than running. Skyward X, this is the shoe that you could use for pretty much every run, and it's going to give you a lot of fun. This guy is all about the comfort. I would 100% take this to walk in. This might be the most comfortable walking shoe on the market now, and it still feels normal, but it's not the slowest. It does have some pep. Now, it is 100% the softest shoe. If we're gonna go soft to firm here, this would be the continuum. Glycerin Max is the softest. MagMax is in the middle. Of course, these two are non-plated, and then the Skyward X plated is the firmest, but even though it is soft, it has some get up and go when you want it to. So this is the most relaxed out of these three. If you want something just for your recovery, if you're looking for what is the most comfortable shoe on the market, that's the Glycerin Max, period, point blank. Go for the Glycerin Max if you want comfort. If you want something for long runs, I would suggest the MagMax Nitro. It is the lightest out of these three. It's the most workmanlike. This is the shoe that you can just lace up and cruise. This might be the one that I would pick if I were doing a 4-hour long run and I wanted non-plated. And then if you want something fun, that's the Skyward X. That's the Skyward X. So not the most stable, but probably still the bounciest out of these three. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. I am tired. I need some food. That workout was complete basura, but we got some good stacks. Shout out to Dr. Stack Daniel. Shout out to Andrew Stackson, and I don't even know what we call this one. Stacks on stacks on stacks. We got the Windflow brothers coming through, just in case anybody needs to get whacked. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hold on, one more thing. These shoes were up here, and I got a little, this was in the mail. I have no idea what it is. It's addressed to the Wamala kiddos. It's my kids. But we got to the end of the comparison last time, and somebody said they didn't know what shoe to pick. So we're going to make sure you know what shoe to pick. Stability, wide foot. Glycerin Max. If you want wide foot and forgiving, Glycerin Max. Stability, MagMax. If you want bounce, Skyward X. Also, bigger runners. Bigger runners get the Skyward X. If you are concerned about bottoming out, support, Skyward X. And then comfort, that's Glycerin Max. Time on feet, that's MagMax. Fun, that's Skyward X. Also, value. Value, MagMax. Versatility, Skyward X. Recovery, Glycerin Max. I could keep going all day. Wet weather, MagMax or Glycerin Max. Those are the two, and then you decide based on whether you want comfort in wet weather, Glycerin Max. Versatility in wet weather, MagMax. I better not have anybody say they don't know which one to pick after this. I think I've used every adjective to try to split apart the differences. I'll see you guys tomorrow. So I've had 2 meetings in the past day that just ballooned from 30 minutes to 90 minutes. Absolutely absurd. But this is the lunch. We have the homemade chickpea salad again with the bagels from our friends at Family Dough. I mean, look at this stack. This is legit a 43 millimeter bagel. This might have more stack than the Skyward X. That's crazy. Plus, a little dual foam action with the chickpeas on top of the carbs. So that's the lunch. I'm going to make a little bit of coffee. I'm also going to do my electrolytes. You know how we're coming today. Bang. Little tri-berry noon action. Stay away from Prime. I already told you guys, PSA, stay away from that Prime electrolyte stuff. Not good. Not good. But a little boop. Boop. I'll see you guys tomorrow.